is an absolute incredibly special day. We are bringing you the second episode of Conversations in Black, but this time it's so special because I have a near and dear friend who I've had the opportunity to work with in the radio career, someone who I adore. Her energy is off the charts, and she is a Black woman in Black History Month, especially as we're leading into Women's History Month, that is just doing something phenomenal. So I want to introduce you to Sunny Anderson. Sunny, you are just phenomenal, and I am sure that people know your name. But before I ask you to say something, I want to give you a little bit of background about who you're going to be talking to. The Black Resource Network is a group of people, about 14,000 plus, of residents, business professionals, elected officials. That is a group of individuals where we share resources, we network, we support everything that is about empowerment in our community. That's health, that's safety, business, education, quality programming. We debate, we dialogue, and we influence. So I'm so excited to introduce you personally to the Black Resource Network. And so just know that right now you have about 14,000 people who really appreciate you. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. We've wanted to talk for some time, and obviously, you've been to the set of the kitchen with a group of people. Anytime someone that I know and love dearly is trying to, uplift and inform and push people forward, I'm here for it. So I'm glad we could do this.
So thank you so much. And so I'm gonna kind of jump into a little bit of the earlier years because I think people really need to know a little bit more about you if they don't know about you. You were a military child. You did radio in the Air Force. Tell us a little bit about that and how that led you to the industry.
Yeah, so, right out of high school, I joined the Air Force and I trained to be a journalist broadcaster. My goal was to continue writing news, which is what I was doing in high school for our ABC affiliate in San Antonio, KSAT 12. I was like an intern that turned into a job that I didn't get paid for, because back then interns didn't get paid. So my goal was to get into the military and continue what I was doing without going to college and, the 2 years, and maybe you'll get an internship on your third year. So when I joined and they shipped me over to Korea after my basic training and my technical school training for journalism, I still wanted to be a writer. But my rank and the needs of the network meant that I was going to go overnight radio. And you know that, Pat, overnights is like, you got to start somewhere. So within that first year being in the military, yeah, right. I was on the air doing top 40 and rock music. And then when I wasn't on the air, I was pulling down satellite feeds from the States as far as Rush Limbaugh radio shows and Dr. Demento. I had to edit those and get those on the air, as well as producing commercials. So, when I came back to the States in the military and I was still in journalism and broadcasting, I was lucky enough to get put into the news department for all of the armed forces, which is AF News in San Antonio, Texas. But I still liked the radio part that I didn't think that I would like, the DJing and all that stuff. So I went to get a job in radio when I got back to San Antonio. And, from there, like as I was in the military, still working off base at a radio station and then still continuing in radio is what got me to you in New York.
Oh, I know. And I have to tell you, I remember meeting Sunny in radio, and to this day, she still holds the same exact energy and personality. I've never met someone that I could come around and like they are always smiling. If you go on her Instagram, if you follow her, this is a woman that has true joy in her spirit. And that's the reason that people connect to you so much. And I just recall the times when we were in the radio station and she was doing her shift and she would come in and she's cooking stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute now, we got desserts and snacks. So I saw something developing there and I'm like, wait a minute. And I do recall when you stayed in the station and then you transitioned, you said, hey, Pat, I got this great opportunity. And I'm like, wow, this is really something. And just look at where you are today. You are a national figure. doing something you love, still smiling, have not given up on your love and passion for culture, hip hop, music. I watch you like I'm a fan also, if you did not know. She dances, she gives us the real part of herself. And that is even infused in the philosophy of what she says, like for real, cooking for real, because she is a for real person. You know, I probably could have did this interview without you, Sonny, because I'm such a fan. Talk
No,
about you.
I would just sit here and get the roses, Pat. But then I want to give you the roses because look at what you've done with your career. We both met each other, 2001 in New York. You're like the first face I saw when I walked into that building for the job. I'd been there to audition, but when you come in, you meet Pat, you meet Trish, and she's gonna, do all the paperwork and you gave me the vibe of what I could depend on there, when everything was chaos. I still at least knew that that first person that I met was going to meet and greet me with a smile. You have no idea how much that meant to me then and still means to me now.
That's awesome. And so we so appreciate you. And I kind of want to jump into your cooking because you're a phenomenal, outside of being just a joyous person, like you're a phenomenal chef. And so this is like a
Yeah.
big culinary thing. And people really tune in because they love to watch you. They love your energy, but then you really make good food. I know you have your cookbooks. I also want to get to the fact that she's an entrepreneur. That's a whole nother segment, right? But tell us about this cooking because one day there's going to be post COVID, Sunny and Friends. And so I'm going to be invited. So you might want to stick with me. Tell
Yes.
us about the culinary. How do you stay up to making amazing meals? How does that work for you?
Okay, well, Pat, number one, I'm hungry. Okay, I'm always hungry. Okay, so if you're hungry, and I like to add to that, lazy, and I am cheap, which my co-host on the kitchen likes to call it parsimonious. His name is Jeffrey Zakarian. Parsimonious is just cheap. And so to explain that, if you're hungry and you're lazy, you don't want to leave the house. I'm also impatient. I don't want to sit and wait through the bread course, or yeah, wait for the waiter, special love to all of the restaurant workers and the waiters. This is not, against them, but in the essence, I want to be able to get food on the table regularly. And then if I want to treat myself and go out for a meal or take a night off, I'll order out or go out to eat in those days when we were regularly going out to eat. But that really is what fueled me. In addition to moving, all the way across the world to Korea at 18, to grow up in a family that was a military family where we were constantly moving. So we were constantly having different regional flavors at home. When I turned 18 and moved away, I had to figure out how to continue that. So hungry, lazy, impatient, cheap is what really got me there. And I didn't realize that that was going to put me where I am now. Even when I was at Hot 97 and I was catering, I didn't think that it would lead to this. Even when I went on Emerald Live, I thought that it would just make me look bigger and more, important to the listeners of Hot 97. I just thought that that was going to be like another feather on my cap. But when I stepped on that stage, I don't know, something hit me. And, you mentioned earlier how you were like, I'm like a national star.
Sure.
Not to my credit, but to Food Network's credit, it's international and it's something I could not have planned.
Wow.
But it was the reason why I decided that doing food TV would be a good idea because I already love food and love feeding people. And I love the idea of broadcasting. That's why you want to get to New York and radio. You want to have a bigger audience. You want to share your happiness and your joy and your commentary with them. But when I decided, okay, I want to do this TV thing, it was like, I want to de facto cater for everybody, So instead of catering like the nightclub speed with Mr. C or doing a fashion show event or a media day with Nori, I just thought to myself, imagine if I share my recipes and the stories behind them on TV, it'll be catering for way more than I ever expected.
Yeah.
And that's what's occurred. When we were traveling before, it really surprised me going to Africa or London and people would recognize me. And that's the strength of Food Network, the Discovery. Now we have Discovery Plus, which is like worldwide and everyone's watching that too. So, I'm just really happy to be in this place. And I think that the things that are great that people can look at are the things that you can't plan them.
Yeah.
You can never imagine that it could be better than what you're doing it for. So I'm just happy to be here. And I'm happy to cook still and share. I love
Still
eating and cooking.
smiling.
It's
When
the
I
best
say
when someone
you still smile, like you smile when you talk. Like it's just, this is a person that has true innate joy in her heart. Like you don't come across this. And I believe that that is a true reason why you are so successful. I want to ask you a question because you're doing what you love. Do you ever get afraid?
Oh no, of like what?
It's
I
like,
in the very beginning, I was like, am I gonna run out of recipes? You know what I mean? I was like, I might run out of recipes. But then you realize you're not, because your job is to create. And a lot of times the producers can foster that. So they'll say, we're gonna do, an Easter episode. Like I've got the Easter basket challenge coming up. So, even on the kitchen, we're doing Easter food to just kind of go with the moment. So they'll say, hey, show us how you would make scalloped potatoes. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll go and I'll make a recipe for scalloped potatoes.
right.
So, there are a lot of recipes that obviously I just do around the house and I come up with and I bring those to the show. But then there are other times when the producers say, hey, what about, a meatloaf in a bundt pan? I always say that because that actually happened. And I was like, a meatloaf in a bundt pan? Okay, I could do that. So my job is really just to deliver what my bosses want. It's no different from being at a radio station. If my boss said, I need you to do a break about this or give away these tickets, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. But you know what I think is the X factor with you is that you're so authentic. You don't trade who you are. You don't trade your personality. You don't trade your wit. You don't trade your what makes you you to conform to
Yeah.
something that the way people think it should be. And that
Yeah.
to me is key. So I think that's why people engage with you. I mean, it's so authentic.
It's easy though, Pat. It's the cliche. It's so easy to just be yourself. But I have been in many situations where you can lean or, move towards the side of what everyone is doing. But then, you don't stick out. If
Right.
you're just yourself, then you're like, okay, there goes an original, because we're all originals,
That's right.
right? So as much you can do to maintain your originality, the better. Are we all gonna, like we were talking about, like hair and makeup? Okay, everybody gotta wear hair and makeup, but what makes me different?
Mhm.
I'm still inside of the vessel.
That's right.
So if I can be myself from the inside out, then it works. And then if it works, then it emboldens you to continue to be yourself,
That's
right?
awesome.
And if it doesn't work, then I would say you're just not in the right room. You're just not with the right people, because being yourself should always work. That's what makes me happy in the morning. I woke up, I belong here. Far be it for anyone to tell me that I don't.
That's right.
And so if I'm in a room where I feel like I don't belong, or I'm not respected, or they don't like the me that I am or that I give, I'm just in the wrong room. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I'm
it.
gonna, I'm gonna
That's
just
it.
switch the room up,
Y'all heard.
and
Mhm.
or I just stay and make them love me. That's happened as well. You just gotta stay, because sometimes people have never been around an energy, so you
That's
have to just say, well, this is another energy. This is how this is, and I'm here.
let me tell you, this is why I love you so much, because you are just you just one of a kind. And I just recall, and one of the best parts about being where you are is that I'm an advocate of, no matter how big your success is that you don't disengage from being accessible. So like, I remember a few years ago, I reached out and I said, hey, I have a group of students, would love to bring them on a tour. You made it happen. I brought these students to the, I think it was the kitchen.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we watched the live taping. I mean, they were so encouraged, and just, it was just everything to me. And I really am very thankful for that. We have a
I
lot
love
of
that.
people on here now that are small businesses doing catering, home catering, smaller businesses. What advice would you give to them, especially with COVID-19, and they may not feel as encouraged because of
Well,
everything?
it's that advice that I Okay, so sorry to cut you off. I would say the advice that I always give, and I even just typed it yesterday, but I was kind of, keep it simple, stupid. It's that thing that you learn in journalism just to keep
Yes.
it simple. And I'm not saying people, I kept it simple, stupid. And so when I did my catering company and any company, it's not about how many phalanxes you can go off on and offshoot on. It's that one thing. It's that one thing that you can focus on. And I find that that works for me. I'm not really good at 10 different things at once. I'm really good at one thing I give 10 bits of effort to. And so with that, when I was catering, for example, I did what I do. I wasn't trying to have like, a menu of 1,000 items or be the everybody chef. Like, you want this and this is what you're going to get when you come to me. Then that's all I've got. But I think even with now, people are feeling like with the economy, and a lot of businesses closing, it's not a good time to start a business. But if you look, there are a lot of people that are starting right now, and this is the time to start, right? This is the time, especially if you had that idea or you've had that thing that's bothered you constantly. Even on the Easter basket challenge that I'm doing next week on Food Network, there are contestants that are home cooks.
Wow.
They're just like me that bake locally. They're known as the cake person. Everyone knows, like, if you don't, you need to know a cake person in your neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
But, they're like the cake designer and cake person. And they're like, what, now's the time for me, maybe if I'm laid off at my 9 to 5 to search out that side hustle. And, it's be okay with living in a cliche, because the cliche is that your side hustle could turn into your main hustle, and it actually could.
That's right.
And it actually has for me throughout my career. There's no way I would have been in the military trying to do journalism if, when in high school, my side hustle wasn't writing in the evening news.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So you've got to pay attention to the things that you actually like to do for no money. I wasn't getting paid to go after high school and sit up with all these old people, which were like just 30. Now they're not old, but when I was a kid, they were old. I wasn't getting paid to do that. It was a joy. I was lit, excited when I saw an anchor read my words and read them the way I wrote them. That excitement that I was not being paid for is the same excitement that I had when I started my catering business. It was not about the money. Matter of fact, it wasn't about the money until a friend of mine, Nori, a rapper, convinced me to charge him and convinced me to make it into a business. I was just doing it for free. So a lot of times when people come to me for advice, one of the two things I'll say is be okay with doing it for free. And I see the glaze happen in their eyes. They're like, yeah, but you can say that because you got money. I was like, no, I'm telling you about the broke Sonny. I'm telling you about that girl. I'm not talking about right now. Will I go cook for free for someone? No. Maybe if it's like charity, of course, but like, you sometimes have to check yourself and see if you're willing to do something without getting that silly silly vibe, the thing that people most chase, which is the money. I can be happy at any income level, and I have challenged myself with that in my life, trust me. So if you are starting a business, I hope it's not about the money. It can't be, because I get it, we are in business to make money, but there should be some part of you in there that would just do it for free. And if that's there, then you can start making the right decisions. Instead of making decisions based financially, you can make decisions based on how you feel about what you're sharing of your gift.
Yeah.
There's 9 times out of 10, that side hustle is a gift.
That's awesome.
And it's not to be shared lightly. So that's what I would say. And then the other thing is don't, so go ahead. I can just talk forever.
Let me just tell y'all, y'all are getting a sneak preview for this show, but I'm telling you, when COVID is over, I haven't had none of Sunny food in years. So I am so due. I'm due for that. We're gonna turn on some hip hop music. We're gonna drink. We're gonna have a good time. And she's
What?
a
What?
pet mom. She
What?
loves pets, her dogs. It's just a given. So talk to us about the show
They're
on
over there right now.
March 1st. There's like this
Yes.
huge show.
So it's called Easter Basket Challenge. I've been just so excited to see this. I got my Easter colors on right
Love
now.
it.
Mostly because, being a fan of Food Network before I was on it, and then I'm on it now, I'm a home cook. I'm not a chef. I didn't go to culinary school. I learned from my mom and my grandmother and just going around living and experimenting in the kitchen. What I love about this show is it brings the home cook back.
Love
And these are home cooks that are all, like I said, very well known in their circles or around their city for making beautiful cakes, beautiful designs. And we thought what fun it would be to challenge them even more for $25,000.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, and we did all this during quarantine. So everyone that flew in quarantined for a couple of weeks, and then we hit the set running. And it's 5 weeks of challenges. We're asking them to build structures that are like 3 feet high of cake,
Wow.
like 3 feet high cake. This is like wedding cake material, but it's Easter. And so we're asking them to do ornate designs. We even have like a fashion show at one point where
Oh
they're
my gosh.
wearing their design.
Oh my gosh.
It's
I,
crazy.
I
We
am
had
so
a good time.
excited. And this airs on March 1st on Discovery Plus.
It airs March 1st on Food Network, and
Network.
that same night it premieres on Discovery Plus. So the cool thing is March 1st on Food Network, you can watch the first episode. And if you like it, which you should, you can watch the rest of the season on Discovery Plus that night. Just go ahead and binge it. And I'm probably going to do that because even though I'm on it, I like to see what gets left in because there were some crazy moments. There was like crying. There were tears. There were a whole lot of shade. Two of the contestants, I don't mind saying Gene and this guy Baked by Daddy. I've followed him now since then, and so his name is Designed by Daddy on Instagram. They were going at it, but in
What?
a sweet, nice way. But
Right.
it was like,
It was
okay, but
it
this
was
is
a real
$25,000.
competition. Wow,
It
that's
was a real competition.
let me
Yes, there were tears, hugs. It was a lot.
and I can't tell you it's in such a good time to release it because we are in need of some additional joy. People have been in their homes for a year plus. Slowly but surely, the restaurants are slowly starting to open, but the audience and people at home are tuning into places where they can smile and see things that make them feel really good. So I'm so excited about the home cooking thing. Before I let you go, I did want to highlight because not only is she just phenomenal, fun, just innately happy, but she's also an entrepreneur. That's right. Sister Girl has her own business, has her own product. So share with us because I remember that journey on how you got that going and how excited you were about it.
Yeah. So, you're talking about Infladium?
Yep.
So Infladium is a brand that a company that I started under my imprint Nontourage Brands, and I call it Nontourage Brands because I don't have an entourage. It's just me, scribbling and changing, my position in life. But I'm a football fan. And I love to eat. We already established that. And I love to cook. And I love to have people over. So, Pat, when this is done, yes, you're coming through. We're going to have a party. But that was what happened. I started noticing that people were making snack stadiums, which is basically just a big built stadium that would hold the food. And they were making them for their football parties. And I thought, I want a snack stadium. But then when you start doing the research, it's like cardboard and aluminum foil and an engineering degree. I was like, I ain't got time for all that. Like, why can't I just buy a snack stadium, And I looked, there wasn't a snack stadium to buy unless it was like this little tiny cute cardboard, thing. And I said, you know what? Let me see if I can design a snack stadium that other people would buy. I can't be alone. And I knew I wasn't alone because I did a little bit of research before I started to develop the R&D. You better do a whole lot of R before you start the D. You know what I mean? So I did a lot of research and I noticed that people were looking for snack stadiums. People had tutorials on how to build a snack stadium. So I started sketching and I came up with the concept for the inflatable snack stadium.
Wow.
And I had the sketch and the design for years before I had the name Infladium. That just popped to me one night. And then I was tailgating with party executives. They were just right there next to where I was tailgating for the Giants game. And just by way of talking and having conversations, kind of like, when you're golfing, they talk about the guys that go golfing, they close business deals. Well, I was a female on the tarmac, closing a business deal with Party City. And that's what I did. I pitched it. And within a year, we had Infladium on shelves. That was 4 years ago, 4 seasons ago. I now have 5 other products, and I'm still just me. I hire someone seasonally to help me with the social media, but it's just me. I did the photo shoots and the design meetings and all of it. And I think that people should try to stay as involved, hands-on in all of the products and all of the things that they decide to kind of stretch out and do on the side. Because like I said, the side hustle can turn into the main, and there's no good having the main if you don't know all the parts of the side.
That's right.
So I still have my hands in it and I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to next season. It was an interesting season this year with people not tailgating outside of the home. But people then started what I call couch gating. So yeah, Infladium's my baby. And thank you for asking me about it. It was not easy. I got a lot of no's before I said to myself, why don't I just pitch it to these guys that I'm having beers with outside of the game?
Look at that. Let me just tell you, you inspire, like I've already been inspired. I continue to be inspired. Black Resource Network, you're welcome for me bringing her here, because this is truly the and the clothes that I'm wearing today is
House of Swag.
House of Swag. And we have such a funny story. I had bought a bootleg dress 2 years ago for $20, and I was so cute in it, and I was on Instagram like this, and my girl here she tagged, she was like House of Swag with the eyes. And House of Swag contacted me and said, hey, sis, I just want you to know what you're wearing is counterfeit. And I didn't know how to take it. And I said, huh? What are you talking about? I said, I just purchased this online. She says, yeah, I've been having problems dealing with copyright infringement on my product. And I'm the owner of this label. And I said, it was embarrassing for me, but I said, if I'd have known better, I would do better. She says,
I had no idea.
I swear.
I had no idea.
This is how our relationship has blossomed. And because of you tagged me, and this is how our relationship started. She said, let me send you the original clothing. And she sent it to me, and I said, I promise to wear it, and I promise to tag you. And since then, she sends me stuff. I purchased stuff. I just purchased a whole load of stuff, and I actually really love the product. So for all Black business owners, for people, pay attention. I mean, Sunny is like super famous and has hundreds of things to do. And she paid attention to a small detail, which essentially helped someone else's business and also brought some information to me. But I love you, girl. I could go on about you all day long.
I love small business because I am a small business. Don't think about the TV part of me. Think about the entrepreneur that started the catering business. Think about the entrepreneur that had an idea about an Infladium, sketched it and pitched it to rooms and got no's for 3 years. I'm still a small business. And I met the owner of House of Swag at Little Kim's baby shower years and years ago. Wow. And she was telling me about the Black Barbie dolls. I don't want to say the Black Barbie dolls, but the Black House of Swag dolls that she was creating. And so obviously I followed her. And when the clothes came, I buy, I support. I think we say support a lot, but it's not just the support. And what an interesting story, Pat, because I see you in her stuff all the time. And I'm like, yes, like she's doing.
But the original. But the original onset was as a result of me buying a false brand. And if you'd never tagged me, I swear the conversation would have never begun. So thank you so much.
I had no idea.
And we are like,
her on your show.
That's an amazing idea. That is and she has amazing clothes. I mean, I really do love her things. So I purchase now, like I'm a House of Swag follower, no more counterfeit stuff. But again, back to what Sunny said earlier, that R&D, you got to do your research. People, do your research. Sunny, you are my absolute favorite. I can't wait to see this show on March 1st. I can't wait for COVID to be officially over so that I'm going to hopefully bring 2 friends with me. So y'all better be good because only 2 of y'all coming with me to this magical place. That's fine. That's fine. To this magical place where there's food, laughter, and joy, and good spirits. And we just gonna hang out, eat, drink, and catch up.
You know it. You are more than welcome. You already know, Pat. I miss you. And I guess the coolest thing we can say about these times is at least we have this in social media. I can see how you're doing. I wish your family well. I know it's been a difficult year. Hug on them and just know that anytime you see a double tap, you know, that's my love to you. And I love that we are still in touch.
Yes.
20 years later, honey, 20 years. And girl, you ain't changed. You look good. Wait, yo, you look good, man.
Thank you. I'll be in here trying to stay snatched. I'm like, I may be a grandmother, but let me tell you, I'm still in the game. I ain't letting it go.
Body.
Wonderful. I love you so much. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I promise you that you have a collective of over 14,000 people who support you, and we will follow you. And please stay doing amazing and excellent work. I'm just on the other side, and I can't wait to see you. So thank you so much.
Hey, thanks. And don't give up. If you're out there thinking about giving up, don't give up. You will not like yourself for it. You'd rather just run till you're broke. Don't give up.
That's it. Sunny Anderson, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Okay, we'll be watching on March 1st. So tune in March 1st. We're going to be watching, and you have the opportunity to binge watch, but I will definitely be there. Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.